Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM WRDN. I'm Brian Winnikins from World Dairy Expo, and thank you to our expo sponsors, including Compeer Financial, Osteoplastics, UtterTech, Wisconsin Corn Growers Association, Wisconsin Farmers Union, Synergy Co-op, and the Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board. Joining us right now is Sanjar Rasulov. He is he's a Central Asian consultant. He's actually works as well with the Minnesota Soybean Association, as well the Research and Promotion Council of Minnesota, but he's also helping with Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board as well. And he is also from Uzbekistan. And this is the cool thing about World Dairy Expo and really about Wisconsin and how we've been able to get these trade missions together. So Sanjar has been touring the state of Wisconsin on a buying mission for soybeans with the Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board. But he also has a dairy farmer and some other folks on the dairy side, and they've been doing that too. And so we're going to talk with Sanjar here a little bit today, and thank you for joining us. Well, so tell us about here in Wisconsin. You've been looking at a lot of soybean operations?
Thank you very much. First of all, my name is Sanjar Rasulov. I actually am the consultant, Central Asian consultant for Minnesota Soybean Council. And the main objectives of Minnesota Soybean Council is we are doing the technical assistance to the developing markets. Uzbekistan is one of the developing markets with a growing population. Our population is 36 million people, and we are still growing. Like every year, 500,000 people grows the population. And Uzbekistan is the only one double landlocked country, which is very far from the sea. So to get to the nearest sea, you should cross two countries. It's located in Central Asia with 2,500 years history. It was on the Silk Road. Probably many people heard about Samarkand, Bukhara, these ancient cities. So our country needs a lot of feed for animal production, especially dairy, poultry industry. For growing feed, our lands are not enough, and the climate is not so suitable. It's we can compare the climate is similar to Arizona. It's very dry and very hot, but in winter it's very cold. So we have all four seasons, and agricultural lands are very few to grow. It's in the eastern part. So for this reason, we are importing many feed ingredients, especially soybean meal. Soybean meal is the biggest protein source in the dairy industry and poultry industry and fishery. So what we are helping to develop the Uzbekistan market by technical assistance for the companies like feed companies, dairy companies, poultry farms. That's our main job, and the purpose of this visit is for Wisconsin. Actually, we were funded by Wisconsin check of money. Thank you from the other participants of this delegation, Uzbek delegations. Thank you very much for the Wisconsin farmers for organizing this trip from the check of money. And I'm leading the group of 6 people from Uzbekistan. There are the owners and representatives of dairy farms. Dairy farms usually not so big. The biggest farm has only 2,000 cows. And the representatives with me who came from Uzbekistan, some of them speak English, but most of them they cannot speak English, only Russian and Uzbek. So I'm doing the translation work for them and leading them. The dairy cows in their farm, it's starting, one of them has a minimum 400 cows. The biggest one, she has 1,300 cows, I mean milking cows. And we arrived here on the 30th of September. And the program was really very fruitful. We visited a lot of different farms, dairy farms in Wisconsin area, and we attended the expo. So everybody in our group, they were really happy to see the new technologies, to learn a lot of new things regarding the dairy cattle industry. And on the farm visits, it was the most exciting part of the trip.
So when you had a chance to you had a chance to meet some Wisconsin soybean growers and Wisconsin soybean farms, what were some of the questions that were being asked?
We were asking the soybean, what's the yield of soybean. Of course, Uzbekistan will never grow soybeans because it's impossible to grow soybeans in Uzbekistan since the climate is not suitable and we have irrigation problems, we have not enough water. That's why all our soybean meal is imported. But in Uzbekistan has a good future. We have no processing facilities for soybeans. That's why we are importing only ready soybean meal. In near future, we want to make the crushing plant, like at least 4,000 tons per day, so that the capacity will cover Uzbekistan and the neighboring countries, Central Asia. So we are planning in future after building the crushing plant to import soybeans instead of soybean meal, and these soybeans can be crushed in the crushing plant. So in this case, we'll cover our demand also for edible oil. Edible oil is a big deficit. We have lack of edible oil. All edible oil is imported from neighboring countries like Ukraine, Russia, Kazakhstan. But we want to produce our own edible oil and soybeans from the states will be the best alternative if we import them, crush in our crushing plant, and we will cover our demand for soybean meal and edible oil.
We are talking with Sanjar Rasulov. He's Central Asian consultant with the Minnesota Soybean Research and Promotion Council. He led a delegation of folks from Uzbekistan here in Wisconsin, and thank you to the Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board. They sponsored that trip and helped. They had a chance to see some of the not only soybean growing operations here in Wisconsin, but talk with the growers and also do some dairy as well. So, Sanjar, you're landlocked. So does anything that come in, so if Wisconsin soybean growers, you're buying a couple thousand tons or whatever of soybeans, how do they get into the country? Is it via rail? Is it air? How would that work?
Usually soybean meal we are importing actually 300,000 soybean meal per year, 300,000 metric tons of soybean meal per year. And we have different routes. One route is through Baltic ports, like Panamax vessels are bringing to the Baltic ports, and from there in the hopper railway wagons, which is each can carry 75 tons, they are by railroad, they're coming to Uzbekistan. And the other alternative road is Georgian ports. The vessels can come to the Georgian ports and discharge to the railway wagons. Again, with the hopper railway wagons, we can bring to Uzbekistan. And Chinese now started the development of the Silk Road, transportation industry. So maybe within 3-4 years we have alternative roads, railroads. One is through Pakistan, one is through China, and then we will have 4 or 5 different options. But now, so far, we have only 2 way of transportation, but they're all done by rail ways and sea, because it makes more feasible and makes the transportation cheaper.
Talking with Sanjar Rasulov, he's a Central Asian consultant. He's with the Minnesota Soybean Research and Promotion Council, but he did lead a delegation of folks from Uzbekistan here in Wisconsin to tour Wisconsin soybean farms and also check out some of the dairy as well. Again, that was sponsored by the Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board. And so, Rasulov, getting that soybean meal, and are you hoping that there will be a relationship to be able to have some of that soybean meal coming from Wisconsin?
Yeah, of course. We are really looking forward to working with soybean growers. But usually there are big companies who are dealing with the commodities. It's like Cargill, Bunge, ADM. So the traders usually our soybean meal is coming through Cargill, once through Bunge, and we also received from ADM and Anderson's. Anderson's company, they also did it through Georgian ports. So of course the first thing will be the price and feasibility. So whatever is corresponds to our requirement, like quality and price, we can work. But especially we will be happy to work with Wisconsin soybean.
Well, again, it's some exciting time for Wisconsin soybean growers. Another market opening up, it looks like, as well. That is Sanjar Rasulov, the Central Asian consultant. He led a tour of some Uzbekistan farmers and processors for feed for their dairy industry as they were here in Wisconsin at World Dairy Expo. I'm Brian Winnikins for WRDN.